Okay. Anyway, what I'm going to read to y'all today is a little short story I wrote. Of course, it's still in progress, so if you have any criticisms, I appreciate it. Whatnot. Anyway, little story I came up with while sweeping. Amazing what you come up with that rolls through your mind while you're sweeping. The Lucky Penny by Vernon Wilton, which is me. And there is a warning. There's some necessary graphics and violence and enough to make the point across for said author, me. Anyway, with the warning aside, here it comes. And excuse me just a minute. Just got to get where I can see what I wrote. Anyway, one of them nights it was blood moon out. You know how them blood moons go. It's where, all kinds of mischief and cult stuff like to think, how them legends go. Dark and dreary. And anyway, this poor fella, down on his luck, always had bad luck. Not very lucky. Anyway, get where everybody don't want them, don't want them to be around, shunned by everybody. We all know one of those. And no matter what he did, didn't have much luck at it. Anyway, he turned around and studied them dark arts things and, that witchcraft type thing, trying to see if that could change his luck. And you know how some people are, when they get like that, them get rich queen schemes and all that. Even though they're trying, it's just how they think. Anyway, he found an old book that was funny looking book, strange leather, and even the pages seemed like leather. Couldn't quite tell what it was, and what looked like ink looked like it was written in blood. Anyway, he turned around, read what he was looking for, and it was some kind of, ritual to where he can make a potion. That way he can make that potion and get it made, and it had to be done on a blood moon night. You know how that goes. And it's where, turn around and study, like this. You see I'm doing he can go to pick something up when he has some change there, penny stuck to your hand. You know how that sometimes that happens, penny gets stuck to your hand. Anyway, he goes didn't see where the penny, it didn't quite stick, and it fell off in that potion stuff before he can dunk that amulet. Anyway, he went to check his book in. That's when the penny dropped, and he went and did his little thing with his incantation and dunked the little amulet in and, swirled it around. Nothing really happened that he could tell, so he said, "Darn it! Another failure." So he throws the whole stuff down the sink. And there goes that penny. Doesn't think much of it. Picks the penny up out of the sink. Sticks it in his pocket. Well, next day he gets up. Go to the store. He walking down the street. Getting ready to cross the street. Light changes. Little girl cross the street. Waves. You know how little kids are. They wave at you. He goes. Pulls his hand out of the pocket. Goes away. And doesn't notice that penny that stuck to his hand. It dropped out of his, how you loose change fall out of your pocket. So they're crossing the street. They cross each other in a crosswalk. Little girl finds a penny, picks it up. The old rhyme, find a penny, pick it up. The rest of the day you had good luck. Then it dawns on him. Spins around, looks at her. He needed a sacrifice. He didn't do a sacrifice. Next thing you know, he gets ready to turn. He's deep in thought, not paying attention. Gets slammed into a bus, hits him head on. Of course, ironically, the bus was headed to Hell Street. Anyway, so little girl, she's going on down the street, and there's a crowd there and all that. Poor guy, he gone now. Realizes too late, too late. He's gone. So we go on, follow Penny. Let's follow, see what happens. Little girl goes down the street and skipping down the sidewalk and all that other stuff, and she coming around the corner to her neighborhood, and little sees a stranger next to his car is where he turned around and dropped the wallet. Well, she picks it up, hands it to him, being a good kid, here, sir, you dropped your wallet. And guy says, thank you, little girl. Would you like me to reward you with some ice cream? But of course, good thing we got good neighborhoods, because the neighbor came out before the little girl could answer. And she was outside walking her dog and whatnot. And he said, now, little Jenny, you run on home to your mama. We'll take care of this. You just go on home. Little girl goes on by her way. Old lady turned around and with her dog, and that dog, one thing about our pets is they can tell when good and evil. And old lady tells that man, you pervert, you stay way out of this neighborhood and don't you dare come back. Don't you dare come back. And that dog, he tells him the same thing, only he jumps up and clamps his jaws around the old boy's family jewels. Guy goes on the ground grabbing it and all that, and old lady, she pulls the dog off and turn around and gives the old man a good kick for good measure, and he said, now you get out of here. Don't you come back here. We'll fix you if you do. So, anyway, then of course, she always carried one of them stun guns, and gave him a good shock in that same place right where she kicked, 3 times. Oh, that gotta hurt. So, anyway, he managed to climb back up in his car. He's crawling around his car on all fours. He's in a lot of pain. He crawls back up into his car. He cranks it up and he just burns rubber going out of that neighborhood, just leaving. He knows he not welcome back there. They know what he looked like. So anyway, and there's always in the neighborhood, you got these other little kids, that like running around trying to be their top dog and whatnot. And they try to come across old Jenny and say, Jenny, give us all your money. We know you got something there. Give us your money. And there's, how they popping them fists in their palm, like that, like they're going to beat her up. You're going to try to beat up a little girl? I don't think so. Anyway, now, when the boy it was 3 of them, and when the boy in the middle turned around and tried to assert he's top dog, just as he started to reach for Jenny, there's like dark clouds on either side of her, and he heard her growl. It was like little sets of ready beady eyes just glowing in that dark cloud, like hound dogs, just dogs, like them hell dogs from hell. They just protecting little Jenny, but they're just, like that. And them boys, they get scared. They're scared, almost peeing in their britches, Oopsies. So they turn around. The boy in the middle, he says, "Scatter." So One boy takes off going down one way down the street, and one of them clouds take off after him like a dog. He running, running, running. He jumps over a fence and tries to clear a fence, and he goes to try to jump over another neighbor's fence. Of course, the neighbor fence he jumped over, that second one, he didn't realize it was real close to a swimming pool, had one of them covers on it. He landed right in that water on top of that cover, and that cover just wrapped around him like a burrito, like a candy wrapper. He just wrapped up and just sunk to the bottom. He was no more. Other little boy, he took off down the street. He was on his bicycle. He was running down the street, whipping in and out of traffic. Got where he went to miss one, and off to the side, you got these workers, how they're training them trees and whatnot, and there's a big tree laying right there, and his bike slams right into it, flips right over, and right on the other side of that tree limb that's right there in the street that they're working on, one of them chippers going, and that boy went head first right in that chipper, just ground him up in the bloody mulch, just at the other end of that truck. They just, it's undescribable what it would look like, but you get the idea. It give you nightmares. You wouldn't want to eat for a month. Anyway, so that happened to him, and then on that other bully, he got where he took off, weaving in and out of traffic. I feel sorry for that poor bus driver because he tried to cut off that bus, and then he got slammed underneath that bus. That bus from Hell Street, it just gets around. Poor driver. It's not his day. 2 people in one day. Boy, and that's sad too, Gotta feel sorry for that bus driver. Anyway, little Jenny, she gets home, and her mom was coming out of the house. Said, "Jenny, get in the car. We gotta go up to the mall, get some new clothes. You getting too big." Said, "Okay, mommy." So they go on up to the mall, and she's playing with her little lucky penny. She's got a penny. She gotta spend it. Anyway, they going up the escalator and whatnot, and that penny, she drops it. And as it's going, and it bounces and bounces and gets in a crack, gets right there, and it shorts something out, and the escalator stops. So they have to clear the escalator. They call the poor maintenance man out. He gets working on it. And then he pulls that penny out. That penny, it's not pretty sight. It's scarred up, got scars on it, and dirty and whatnot. He pulls it out. You're the culprit. Gets the escalator fixed. And it's almost his quitting time, so he sticks that penny in his pocket, gone. He stops over at the convenience store on the way home. Gets, like how most people do, they get their little scratch off and scratches that ticket. He want him some money. Isn't enough to help him out and make where he can retire. So anyway, he drops that penny in that there's a little bucket there by the register, and right there by the register for the church. He drops that penny off in there, and he said, well, he can bring somebody else some good luck. So anyway, he does that. Guy walks out with his lucky ticket. He got to go somewhere else. You know how that goes. You got to go somewhere else to cash it because it's that big. Passing it out, and these 2 old boys, they just pull him in, jerk him in there because they know he got that winning ticket. He said, give us that ticket. We know it's a winner. Give us that ticket. He said, no. So they turn around and beat his bahoney. They go to try to grab it. He, got that death grip on him, Won't let go. Next thing you know, that ticket's in shatters. It's just shredded. No good now. It's shredded. So they said, that's all right. We'll go in here and we'll rob this old boy. So they go back in there and they get ready to rob it. of course, in between, the pastor came up from the church, got the jar, and we left with the jar and all that. And they said, yeah, the jar filled up pretty good. It helped the church. Pastor left, went to go into there. Them other two old boys, they come in to rob the store. Well, the clerk, how some of them, they got that shotgun up underneath there, and he got ready to go for it, and old boys, they shoot him. Only thing is when they went to run outside, they run two cops, and the cops shot them. It's just everybody's unlucky day. Everybody getting, boy, I tell you what, you got to make yourself right now. Anyway, pastor goes on to church, and he's turned around and in his office takes out coins, getting them all, counted and everything. And that penny sticks to his cuff. Well, then he decided he's going to go in the sanctuary and pray and whatnot. And it's one of them churches, they got a little basin, got that holy water in it. So he goes, get ready to go in, and just as he's going in, dips his finger in and say, Father God and the Holy Ghost. That penny drops off in that water. Well, that water's been blessed. That water is the same as touching God. There's a little poof of smoke that comes up from that penny. And what happens to that penny? That sinks down to the bottom of that basin and it becomes shiny and brand spanking new. Looks like it just come from the mint. That's the life of this here penny. From humble beginnings to the end. But I tell you what, there's a little quiz here I want you to take. And you think real hard on these questions. First one is, what happens when we see nothing but trouble in our lives? Only you can answer that. And what do we usually turn to first for help for solving our daily problems? Who do you ask for to help when you're having problems every day? Who do you go to? And what happens when we try to fix it ourselves? Like we say, oh, it's my problem, I got to get myself out. What happens when we do that? And where do we need to go first for our daily living situations? Well, that kind of goes back with that other question, And what do we must have in our lives to keep us on the right path and for our daily fulfillment? Now, you think hard on that. That's a good question. And how do we become fountains of living water? If you read that particular book, and we all know which one I'm talking about. The only reason I ain't saying here because certain platforms don't allow that word. They're naughty. But also, here's a quote out of Mark. Because Jesus said this. If God is for us, then who can stand against us? So you think about that. If God's always on your side, who can stand up against you? And list what we must do daily to stay right with God. Now, what I'm saying there is, you make a list. You know what you do. And are we the penny, or are we everyone else? So it kind of goes saying, when you do something like this, what are you the penny? Are you everything else that tries to get in the way? Because sometimes we get in our own way. But it's something to think about. And I wrote that, and it may seem a little macabre, but it makes you think. So take it into account and think. Get some pencil and paper. Play this back again. Answer them questions. Look it up yourself. You don't have to take my word for it. That's why you always study for yourself. You have a good day now. You hear?